For me, it's an essence of life, and it can be uh, very tied to, very involved with a female principle, if you will, or a feminine divine. Um, and Go ahead.
Yeah, so I find, we do comparative religious studies, and we know Swamiji quite well, and and find her work so profound. Um, but I myself am not a practitioner. So one of the wonderful aspects of Shakti, when we went to India, we met, a Shakti um, goddess, is the way in which that particular profound energy of the female, the creatrix, is a part of that cosmology. And that for women who need care around the world, to have a divine figure that represents those particular aspects of that power is so important. So I find the healing and empowerment of Shakti particularly hopeful and useful. And I'd say in other religious communities that might be Shekinah or Mary, the Holy Spirit, they operate quite differently. They're not the same thing. But for so Shakti, represents some kind of those clusters of female representative entities.
So for me, and I'll let you speak for yourself, but I think I can say, I think I can say that both of us are feminist, lesbian practitioners in Christianity, and I would say our Christianities are different
from each other.
So I was raised in Catholicism, and you were raised in
as a Protestant in the Philippines.
So, so we're coming at Shakti from a little bit different. Besides the fact that in Christianity we don't really have anything that you can finger so clearly and say, "Ah, that's Shakti." So it's a reach. It's a little bit of a reach, but it's also an intriguing reach. Because I think that what we're talking about is a confluence of ideas, where we're hopefully the Shakti energy, the Shakti notion of a feminine divine, if that is a way that you can talk about it, it is in fact very much, at least in the Catholic tradition, very much I think beginning to emerge and has been emerging for quite some decades in the 20th century, and particularly now in the 21st century. We just moved to this senior living community, oh my, called Rossmore. And one of the things that I love about this place is all the trees that are here. And frankly, I am going, as I get older, I'm understanding that trees are this particular embodiment of Shakti, what I would call Shakti energy. Anyway, all of that is just simply to say that I find myself in the Catholic tradition very connected to what I would call the feminine divine. And I'd be happy to explain it after Kathryn talks a little bit.
Yeah, so my experience of Shakti really did kind of emerge when we were there in '89. So I hadn't really even understood what this figure was, this goddess was, until then. And so the encounter with her, which happened in actually Arsha Shakti Foundation, which is a Bede Griffith's ashram in the south of India, and he does Hindu-Christian dialogue and enculturation of Catholic Mass, so looking at it from a Hindu kind of perspective. And then we took a little trip up a hill and not really knowing what we were finding, and came upon this incredibly powerful energetic field. I mean, it was remarkable, the energy that was emanating from this figure in this red cloak, just one. So that was stunning. I mean, because I didn't know it. So it was stunning to feel something I didn't know, but recognized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went down from there into where there were all these yoginis who were in this practice of meditating 24 hours. They were in a particular kind of practice. And the abbot there, or the guru there, woman also talked about Adapara Shakti. And these were all new words to me, but they felt really liberating. They felt really powerful and liberating to see all these very intense women doing this prayer cycle, and to have this experience of this woman speaking about this creatrix as a kind of primary figure. So it was really the entry point for us into India at that point. We had never been before.
Mm-hmm.
So I do feel like my primary experience of India has been via Shakti. So that was remarkable. It's fascinating to have an experience of the energetic field outside of without being part of the belief system.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what's remarkable, that one can feel the energy even though I'm not a devotee, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that says something about Shakti and maybe about openness, and why we're here doing this work, together, because we all need to be more aligned, I think, in some way.
Absolutely. Yes, I think that makes so much sense, because the feeling is so universal, and everybody taps into that and relates to it in different ways. And coming to that, Dr. Rue, you were mentioning about the sacred feminine. Could you explain that? Because it's interesting to have that perspective. It might be, spoken of differently in different languages, and I'm sure it exists. It's just not being spoken about as much. So could you shed light on that, please?
Well, one of the reasons why I'm so delighted to be on the board of this foundation is because Shakti is a global idea, a global principle that we may call by many different names. And I'm hopeful that other members on the board, that it will be this confluence of Shakti, sacred feminine energy. Because this is where I think the world needs to go and also is going right now. I had the great opportunity in 2016, 17, and 18 to learn a lot more about Mary. I grew up in the Catholic tradition and really, frankly, thought of Mary as vanilla. Not very interesting.
Yes.
She'd been completely co-opted. And in a sense, she was the basket or the trap that I think Catholic women have been caught in for many centuries. And so I had a chance to go deeper into my study by going to Israel, Palestine. But even before that, I was reading the Quran. And of course, it takes coming to a different religion to illuminate something that was really basically captive in my own religion. So I found Mariam to be an extraordinary, not only story, but really a principle within the Quran and a face of who Allah is, in that she had agency. She's a single mom. She had agency. She's so that not being wed to anyone. And I found that very important for illuminating the story of Mary in the Christian Bible. And also had a chance to see in Palestinian women how old the stories of Mary, Maryam, how old they are. So there are plants and herbs and foods that are named after Mary that go that are much older than Mary, the mother of Jesus. And I think that is, I feel that that's pointing to Mary as goddess.
Absolutely.
And of course, we never see her like that in Catholicism. And Protestants, of course, didn't want much to do with her either. But I do think that she is profoundly known through the Catholic Church. Oddly enough, Mary is profoundly known throughout the world, and I think in many respects it is that goddess principle that we understand that she is the source of life, and that. Even, your search for the Black Madonna in Europe it also points to a pre-Christian notion of goddess. And, the blackness of the Madonna being from the mother continent has, the church has tried to erase. So I was just thrilled to begin to recover Mary for myself by understanding that she is Shakti. She is the divine feminine. And she's so much more than Mary, the mother of Jesus.
Yeah. Dr. Poethig, would you like to add anything about Black Madonna, perhaps?
Yeah, so I'm a Protestant, so I don't have a fetish of the Madonna. And actually, I just wanted to ask a different kind of question, and I don't know where it goes in this question, but I was thinking about what if God itself, and I think that Swamiji does this anyway, it's like getting beyond the gender divine. We really, God, the divine is not gendered. I mean, we have fixated on this male-female binary God with genders. And for a gender-queer person, Shakti is not liberating. So, or Mary is not liberating. So these kind of traditional gender roles in which we categorize certain kind of gender powers inside certain kinds of entities is also limiting. And I think, so what is equality? Are these this feminine divine, feminist divine, these divines are trying to rectify the imbalance to kind of ultimately to the cessation of gender? I mean, where is this an evolutionary move to be able to explode or dissolve the binary of gender, which is already problematic? So I'm asking these questions, in queer theology, we're asking these questions, and I'm sure, and I'm not sure how far that's come in the kinds of Vedantic or kind of other kind of analysis and critique of goddess, of the gods. But I think it's really important in this world to figure out how we attribute certain characteristics to certain kind of gender gods, and what does that do then to? And this is your kind of vanilla Mary. What does that do to the gendering of humans? And this is a little bit off the Shakti point, but I think it's very helpful for me. which is that I really one of the ways I really appreciate what do we call Hinduism a bit, Shakti, Shaivism, whatever. All these different ways to understand it are the ways in which animals, Ganesh, in which the metamorphosis of the humans, the God itself is not morphologically human. And so, and there are, swans and ducks and creatures, all sorts of creatures, and also sorts of other kind of forms, parts that are part of the storyline, the devatas. And so it creates a kind of panoply of other forms that are possible in the cosmology, and gets us away from such a humanoid, human-centric, an androcentric face of God. And I think all of the eco theologies, all these ways that most of the religious communities are trying to prepare for climate change, is to really think about how all our communities have been, how to move beyond the androcentric divinities, the ways we've sentimentalized the earth, and the ways that we've created humans as dominant.
The other thing that I was going to say is, I think that one of our teachers many years ago said every time you're going to use the name of God, use a different word. So I will often think of God as wind, or energy, or ruah, or womb, or emptiness, or fullness. So it doesn't have to be gendered in that anthropomorphic way. But and that's what I meant by trees as well. That wonderful, full, up into the sky, and roots in the earth, and
like nature is the Shakti, the creation bit of it, right? On the same vein, the question is, do you think Shakti is misunderstood?
Particularly in Catholicism, it's been largely active.
And I think also in what communities might it be understood or misunderstood? I think in communities that we travel in, Shakti is probably not really defined well, and not really understood at all. So I think, I think it's probably pretty essentialized. So as if it's understood at all, Shakti is a goddess along with Kali. I mean, there's just there isn't a really a good sense. In fact, when I teach religion in my classes, people were just, my students who were from, California, completely befuddled by, the cosmology, and Shakti was just one more goddess to figure out, right? So it's misunderstood, yes, and not identified with any particularity. So I think if Shakti is to play a particular role in this new generation, this new era, different than Lakshmi or Parvati or others, or the Mahadevi, she's a Mahadevi, then she needs more particular attention. So, and if that's the role of this group, to embody that, or to show maybe the seva of Shakti, right? The seva of Shakti.
Oh, I like that.
And, that would be a good thing. That would be something that I'm signing on for, because it's the power of a particular envisioning of the world.